Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Zilliqa podcast. I have Zach with me from Mintable. Mintable actually launched recently during Zil 3, and today we are going to talk about how has the launch been like, what was Zach's experience building on top of Zilliqa, and what are some exciting updates coming for Mintable. So hi Zach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So can you start off by giving a background how you got into crypto, how you actually got into the Zilliqa ecosystem?
Yeah. So, wow, it's been a long journey for me to get into crypto. I found Bitcoin in about late 2012, and just like everyone else, I didn't really know what it was when I found it. Just thought it was kind of some online payment system. So I found it. I bought it. I was a trader, and I traded a lot. And that really just means I was losing my bitcoins. So
Still
because
good time to buy. Still good time to buy.
yeah, yeah, it was a great time to buy. I actually I use Mt. Gox, and my email from Mt. Gox for my first Bitcoin buy, I have it like printed out and like framed. So because it's quite cool. So yeah, I got into it in 2012 for Bitcoin, and then I went into the military. Wasn't doing too much crypto stuff. I still had some. I wasn't like involved in the community or anything, just kind of watching it passively. And then around 2015 or 2016, I got back into it pretty heavily. I found Ethereum, and at that point, around mid 2016 or so, I switched everything over, all my Bitcoin over to Ethereum. And then I started doing smart contract work on Ethereum, Solidity, and different things. And that was into my life as I know it, right? The previous life. From that point forward, I've been, in blockchain space 24/7. So I did smart contract work, and then around late 2017, CryptoKitties kind of came out, and CryptoKitties is like it was one of the first games on the blockchain, and they kind of created the non-fungible token standard, right? They because their cats are tokens, and it's a game where you breed cats and trade them and stuff like that. So I found that before it launched at the hackathon that they were presenting at, and that kind of opened my eyes to what I could do with these non fungible tokens. And so after that point, that was kind of the end of doing any ERC20s or anything else. I just focused all on non fungible tokens, right? Those digital items from that point forward. So I started doing everything I could related to NFTs, and I had a paper published with the IEEE, which actually during Zil 3 I heard that your CTO also has multiple. Your CTO and your lead researcher have papers with the IEEE, and so that was kind of cool to think that we're both published in there. And my paper was on food traceability and the supply chain with food and using NFTs on the blockchain. So I made Mintable around 2018, and from that point, I've been running Mintable, which is like a tool for people to create, manage, and like mint those digital items on the blockchain. Then, running Mintable, I moved to Asia because I'm from California. I moved to Asia, and while I was living in Asia, we ended up getting in an incubator accelerator program in Singapore. And so that was, one of the it's like a government-backed incubator, and it's highly reputable for a lot of blockchain startups. And Zilliqa was one of the like co-hosts of the incubator. And so as we were going through it for Mintable, that's kind of how we started with Zilliqa. Got introduced to it, met the team. I mean, because we're both in Singapore now, and the Zilliqa team is just like they're they're pretty good, man. They're pretty amazing. So seeing what Zilliqa has to offer, we it's not like we haven't left Ethereum. We actually have right now we have two apps. We have one on Ethereum, which is our old Mintable, and then we have our new Mintable, which we just launched on Zil3 on the Zilliqa blockchain. And then we're going to get rid of the old Mintable and put it on the Ethereum blockchain. So we'll have Zilliqa and Ethereum, which will actually be the first NFT marketplace to do that, to have two different blockchains that we support. Right now, we're the first NFT marketplace for Zilliqa, right? We helped the Zilliqa team kind of implement the non-fungible token standard, went through, advised them, revised some of the code, so that these non-fungible tokens have as much flexibility as they could on Zilliqa. And then, we just launched that, and now we're just kind of dealing with the glory of launching the app and running it and getting things running smoothly. And then I get to start all over again, basically, and start working on the ETH version. So it's been a busy few months.
Okay, yeah. I can see. I used to chat with you. I used to see how you were, you interacting with the team, and yeah, I think you are a one-man army. Like Mintable is developed mostly by you. I feel, all right, the whole application. So, yeah, I suppose you would be really busy. So just to like, what exactly is Mintable? I think we also need to discuss that, because some people already have an idea, but some people don't. So can you give an elevator pitch on what is Mintable?
Yeah, Mintable is a marketplace for you to sell digital items on the blockchain. So these digital items on the blockchain is any kind of content that you make, right? So if you're a graphic designer and you make, artwork or graphic design work, or if you make backgrounds, fonts, videos, music, any kind of digital content that you make, you can put it on the blockchain. And there's all these extra benefits that you get from being on the blockchain. Things like being able to easily have copyright proof, so you can prove like, oh, well, I have the rights to use this, or you get the benefits of something that you can't do with normal music or any kind of digital content. You can't say that it's rare, right? I can't release a video on YouTube and say it's rare, and I can't release an artwork that I made in like Photoshop and say that it's rare. But when it's on the blockchain, you can. So you get these benefits, and then we let you kind of take your content, and all you have to worry about is your content, and then you can turn it into a digital item on the blockchain using Mintable. And then Mintable is also the marketplace to kind of browse, buy, trade, sell those different digital items. A good example is like a week and a half ago, an artist sold some artwork that was a digital item on the blockchain for $55,000 just for one of them, right? And so you got to imagine that's like life-changing money for someone who basically they're not Banksy, their artwork's not in like a big auction house. So being able to sell it on the blockchain and then make that money, the reason it's sold for that much is because it's rare, and because they are a talented artist, but then also because there's a resale value. Because it's a blockchain item, people buy it as a investment. They know that it's going to appreciate in value because there's only one of them, or because it's collectible, and then they resell it for a higher price, right? And so that's kind of this trading aspect, which is something that you really can't do with other content. So like if I release a video on YouTube, or if I make a background for like my desktop background, if it's really beautiful type of artwork, I can't trade that, right? Like there's no other place on the internet where I can go through and be like, hey, I'm selling this artwork for $500, and then if you buy it, you can then resell it for $1,000, right? So there's a lot of benefits, and that's kind of what Mintable is it's that platform marketplace.
Gotcha. Yeah. What was the item that sold for 55K?
It was called Picasso's Bull.
Okay.
And like you can, so it's Picasso's Bull from Trevor Jones, and you can Google it. You can see it. It's pretty cool. It's like a what's the right word? It's like a multimedia type of art. So it's like a, not a GIF. It's like a MP4, but it's a really nice like drawing and kind of rendering of this bull. It's Picasso's bull. If you Google that, it's like a something that Picasso made. And then it's got this extra stuff. It's got sound. It's moving. And so Trevor Jones is the guy behind it, and he makes some really cool like physical art, some Bitcoin and crypto physical art. So when he made this as an NFT, it fetched a pretty high price.
Hmm. Gotcha. NFTs have been like NFTs and NFT marketplaces. Like I think there's OpenSea on Ethereum. There are a couple of others as well. So like what trends have you seen in the NFT marketplace? Since they have started coming up, and yeah, like for Mintable, you have like you can sell art, as you mentioned. You can sell some maybe songs or something like that, as well as currently it also supports the option to sell like Zill domains, right? Unstoppable domains. So yeah, can you just walk us through that, like what's there on Mintable and what has been the overall journey of NFT marketplaces?
Yeah, so when we got started into the NFT space, OpenSea. So OpenSea is kind of like the big place to. It's really the only marketplace, right? So when about a year ago, OpenSea was pretty much the only place that you can buy and trade NFTs. And so any project that had NFTs, they would be listed on OpenSea. And over time, there's been a few other ones that have popped up, but most of them are they have closed doors, right? They have a specific niche that they focus on. So there's still really only one NFT marketplace, which is OpenSea, which is why when we built the marketplace for Mintable, we wanted to be an open marketplace where anyone can sell anything. So back about a year ago, or even further back, OpenSea really only had two items, like two assets, right? So it was game tokens. So like I mentioned, CryptoKitties, that's a game item, right? My cat, I can play with in the game. So it was mainly game items, and then a very small selection of artwork, right? It was mainly game items, and I never really liked game items as a good use case for NFTs. So when we built Mintable the first time for a beta back in 2018, we wanted to kind of open up the doors and allow people to tokenize other things. So the game items, they've slowly kind of been pushed into the back, and now we see a lot of crypto art, which is where people are making a lot of artwork, and they tokenize it, and then they sell it, just like Trevor Jones is, right? The Picasso bull, that's art. And so right now we're kind of in this phase where we have a lot of artwork, and there's other marketplaces that have popped up, and they're all related to art, right? So you have something like Super Rare, and Super Rare is a very exclusive, like you have to apply to be in there if you're a good artist, and then they let you in there, and then they take a high fee, and then the only thing that's on Super Rare is art. You can't list like a CryptoKitty. You can't list a domain name on there. So it's focused only on art, right? And that's all the other marketplaces that are out there are the same way. They're only on art. The only place that you can sell artwork and a CryptoKitty and a domain name is OpenSea. And so with Mintable, that's where we wanted to go, is we wanted to have this open marketplace. So on Mintable, you can list, for the Zilliqa version, you can list your .zil domains, because they're on the Zilliqa blockchain, right? And so we're the only place that you can list and sell and trade these .zil domains, right? But at the same time, there's artwork already on there. And so we've seen a lot of artwork, and we've seen a lot of .zil domains already as well. So it's about 30 or 40% to 60 to 70%, where 30 or 40 is the Zil domains, and then the 60 to 70% is artwork, right? And so, that's pretty cool, because it's been almost 4 days since we launched, and we have over 500 items for sale already that people have made, and about 200 of them are .zil domains, and so the rest are all items that have been created using Mintable, which is great, right? Having 300 different items made in like a few days is pretty great for a blockchain application. So with the Ethereum version that we're coming out with, we'll be able to take all the NFTs that are out there like that you would find on OpenSea. So your game items, your .crypto domains, and then you'll be able to list them on Mintable as well. So we're trying to be kind of an open marketplace. There's no application to get in, and so we think that it's really important to the ecosystem.
Okay. And for like, is there some algorithm that sort of, that classifies items, like says which item, if I search for something, which items comes on top? Is there an algorithm for that? Like, how does that work? Because for discoverability is a major thing, right? Like if an item is coming to a top on a particular category, then the chances of it getting sold are high.
So one of the things that we've implemented is like with our search feature, we do have an algorithm for searching, and it's a very basic search engine algorithm, right? So it's matching the text for what you search for. So if I type in bank, if I type in bank and I'm searching your domains, then it's going to return everything that has bank anywhere in the listing for the domain name. Now, when you're not searching and you're just on the home page, we have a whole set of filters that you can use, just like every e-commerce website, whether it's Amazon or Lazada, you can filter everything you want on the side. So you can filter by the cheapest, the most expensive, the newest, the oldest, a different price range like $1 to $5 or $100 and up. And then, of course, by category as well. So when you create your listing, you say, oh, this is artwork, or this is a collectible item, or, oh, this is a media file, like a music or video. And then, that's how you'll be able to search through it. Right now, I'm actually going through and rebuilding the browsing page to offer, because right now we have it on a list, and when I was building it, we didn't have 500 items that we were testing with. So after, like, I'm looking at it now with 500 items in there, and I'm like, it's kind of hard for me to find the item that I'm looking for. So I rebuilt it, and we're adding a grid feature. So you see more items at once. It's easier to browse through them. And then I'm trying to improve the speed as well, because we allow there's no limits on what you can upload. So other platforms, every other platform has very, very strict limits, like 9 megabytes. And like you're supposed to be uploading like a high resolution, artwork. 9 megabytes is nothing, especially if it's like a GIF or an MP4. So we have 3 gigabytes is our limit, right? So you can upload like a full movie. Obviously you can't, because you can't sell that because you don't own it. But if you did have like a 3-hour, 2-hour clip, you can upload it. But the problem is on the browse page, when there's 25, 50 items being loaded and they're all like 20 megabytes, 50 megabytes, it's quite slow to load these images. So we're working on that as well. We're going to be improving that. We're going to be compressing all the images down. And then just the images for the listing. The files that you download, they're not touched. And that's something we actually haven't touched on. When you create your work on Mintable, when you upload it, on other platforms, the public image that everyone can see that's on the blockchain is the artwork, right? And so the most common question we have is like, hey, why would I spend $55,000 on this MP4 that I just saw on Twitter that I just saved to my computer? You know what I mean? And so a lot of the answer to that is, well, because you don't have the item on the blockchain. But we went a step further, and we made it where there's private files now. So you put up maybe a short clip of that MP4 or a watermark or a low resolution version of your artwork, right? And that's the public image. That's what someone can copy and paste. But when you own the NFT, you can download the full, private file, whatever you've uploaded. So in the case of, say your background, right? Your background is the world. And there's a store on Mintable called Space Adventures, and it's all like space artwork. So maybe if this had a watermark over it, that would be what I see when I'm browsing. But once I purchase it, I get the high resolution, 4K version of this image that I didn't have access to because I bought the item. So you get the reward, right? I get to own the blockchain item, and then I also get to download it. So yeah, we're pushing that out.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Now moving to how your experience was building on top of Zilliqa. And for this, for the audience, like I'll share the video of how you can actually create an item on Multiple, how you can buy and sell. Zach made a demo video for that. I'll share that in the notes below. Now, coming to building on top of Zilliqa, so how was your experience, building on top of Scilla, and why did you actually choose to build on top of Zilliqa as well? Like there are so many other chains right now. So what were the value propositions that you felt, that were part of Zilliqa?
Yeah, I'll answer the second one first, and then we'll go to the actual building part. So why is Zilliqa? So when we were working with the accelerator and we are working with Zilliqa, right? Um, Myself, I'm an Ethereum guy, and so I see other chains, like Tron and EOS, and a lot of them, they just reek of like a scam project, right? Or they just don't have good practices. They don't have good business practices. They're very sketchy on how they approach things. And when I didn't know about Zilliqa before we got into the accelerator. And when I heard about them, I was like, oh no, not another, kind of shitty project. But after like talking with the team, seeing how this team operates, doing some of my own like actual research, they're they're completely legitimate. Like there's no like false advertising kind of like there's no Justin Sun figure who's like advertising these like giveaways or things that are just really scammy. They build technology that they're like the first to do sharding, and it's like actual functional technology that like works and it's live, and so the respect for having the first to do something that's very complicated like POS and sharding, as well as like the respect for the team and how the business operates. All those things. I was like, okay, so this is like a completely legitimate project, right? This is just on the same level as Ethereum, so there's absolutely no reason why like I would be opposed to working with them. Now, on the building with Scilla part, okay, so I'll be honest, I was quite afraid because Scilla is a completely different language than like what I'm used to. It's not object oriented, right? So when I saw it, I was just like, oh man, this is going to be a challenge. But it's actually not bad. It's actually quite simple. There's it's different in terms of the the syntax, right? It's different in terms of the way that you write your code, but at the same time, it's not like very hard. So because when I started programming, I learned Java, C++, all the basic stuff you learn in like school. And actually now all I do is JavaScript, right? So JavaScript, Solidity, Node, just most common kind of stacks. So Scala was completely different for me, but it wasn't too hard to pick up. I went through, I read all the docs, and whenever obviously whenever I'm working on any kind of smart contract for Zilliqa, I've got the Scala docs open because there's still a ton that I don't know, right? Like I'm still fairly new to Scala overall. Like I wouldn't say I'm new to the blockchain, but to the actual language of Scilla, I'm quite new to it. And so uh, the thing that was really helpful though was just kind of the team of Zilliqa. Like I can reach out, I can reach out at any point and just be like, hey, how would I do this? Or is this the right way to implement this? Or do you see any potential bugs that I'm not seeing here? And the Zilliqa team is just like right there and ready to help. So that's really good because you can't do that with Ethereum. I can't call up Vitalik and be like, hey, can you look at my smart contract? So there's quite a few benefits in that regards with the team being really good with communication, and so whenever we're doing something, it almost feels like a joint venture, right? So like when we were working on the ZRC1, which is the non-fungible token standard from Zilliqa, we're like going back and forth, talking with the team, and I'm like, hey, there needs to be this, this, and this in order to kind of fulfill these functionalities. And I'm like, this is the code that I would change it to, and just the collaboration. So it was really good, and it made it a lot easier. And then in terms of like that's the smart contract, but in terms of everything else, like the dApp side of things, the front end, the back end, it's fairly straightforward. It's just if you okay, I guess if you're new to blockchain, it's probably not straightforward. But since this isn't like my first blockchain project, I'm quite experienced in blockchain applications and dApps. It was fairly straightforward, right? I got it all implemented. That's the easy part, right? The hardest part would be making sure that the contract is 100% secure, right? And the beauty of Scilla is that like it can't do what you don't program it to do. So it's quite secure, right? Where we've gone through, we've tested it, and we've tested it a lot. And there's nothing that could like make a user lose their funds, right? And so I think the worst that could happen is your transaction will just fail. And so that's a benefit. So overall, it was a pretty good experience. It was easy. Yeah, even though I was scared in the beginning to take up Scilla, it wasn't too much of a challenge.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I saw your recent comment on some update on ZRC1 as well. I think some in the Mint transition. So now we are also getting feedback from you. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we did just add a transition on ZRC1 to because the current implementation was that you input the token ID that you want to mint.
Yeah.
So you say I'm going to make token number 1, or I'm going to make token 200 if you've already made 199 tokens. There's not necessarily a problem with this, but there is kind of a problem because if you haven't made any tokens and you put token number 200, that just doesn't make sense. Why would you make token number 200 when 100 through or 1 through 199 are non-existent? So that in and of itself isn't a problem. It just doesn't really make much sense if you were to do that. The problem comes into when we wanted to implement something like batch minting or have extra functionality so you can mint multiple tokens, because then you would have to either have multiple inputs, or you'd have to pass in like an array, or you'd have to do some other kind of black magic that you probably don't want to do. And so we just changed it to use a simple counter, and we got rid of the user inputting the token ID that they wanted to mint. And so it just increments and in a logical fashion. So if it's the first token, it's going to make token 1, and if it's your 1,000th token, it'll make token 1,000. So
Yeah, makes sense. So what advice would you like give developers who are planning to build on Zilliqa, who are learning Scilla, because you have built a full stack application, you have worked with both Zilliqa JS and Scilla, and I think the functional programming nature of Scilla is a bit intimidating, or like if you are just getting started in Scilla, like say for the first 2 days or something. But the overall language syntax isn't that huge, like compared to many other languages like Scilla. The things that you need to know are relatively less. But still, like, yeah, what advice would you give developers who are planning to build on top of Scilla and Zilliqa?
Yeah, I mean the basic syntax is fairly easy to get. You'll get it within like the first week or so, right? And you'll understand it. But it's once you start diving into these more complex syntaxes that or these more complex operations that you dive into like the syntax that I've just never seen in any other language. Which that's most programmers, that's what they like. They like learning something new that they've never seen before. And the only reason we haven't seen it is because most of the world that we live in is all object-oriented programming, and so it's just slightly different in that regards. But what I would say to most people is it's really simple. It's nothing. If you're making an application in any other language, and it's a little, as long as it's an application that's a little bit bigger than a hello world or a to-do list, then when you look at Scilla, and if you have an understanding of how blockchains operate, you're gonna be like, wow, this is easy. This is nothing compared to making what other applications I've already made. So it's not hard by any means. And there's a test net. So you might as well just start playing around and seeing like what you can do, start trying to break things and see like, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? What happens if I do that? And then, that's how you learn. And honestly, I mean, I think everyone who wants to get into blockchain should just start playing around with it and start learning it. Learning, as many languages as you can is kind of good advice for every programmer. But focusing on core languages is also kind of key advice. And so having core blockchain languages like Scilla, Solidity, JavaScript, right? Those things, they're going to stay around. I don't think that there's any plans to remove Scilla and upgrade it to something else, is there? Right.
No, no.
Yeah. So by learning it now, you're pretty much setting yourself up to have a future for the next foreseeable long time. So you really should give it a shot. See kind of what you can do and what you can make, because having an application that works in like a financial sense with on a blockchain, there's a lot more that you can do that you just really can't do with like a JavaScript app, right? And so that's kind of what got me to be a blockchain developer. Was I was just, I can't make my own bank in JavaScript, right? But I can do that on this with smart contracts. So yeah.
Gotcha. Also, you mentioned that you like tested the contract. So how was the testing process? Like, how did you test the Mintable smart contract? And yeah, like how did you see that? Like, one value proposition of Zilliqa is Scilla, and within Scilla, it's that Scilla is very safe to write contracts in. So yeah, you touched upon that a little bit, but if you can talk a little bit more, because you have experience working with Solidity as well. So how did that development experience compare to the development experience on Scilla? And yeah, about the testing as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, with Scilla, you basically have, if there's a bug or if you have any kind of error, opposed to like Solidity, if you have like an overflow or underflow, you might lose the entire funds of someone's balance. But with Scilla, the chances of that happening are extremely small, and most likely it's just going to revert, right? Because it's very strict language. So if it's out of bounds of say the type that you're trying to deal with, it's just going to cause the transaction to revert, right? And it'll throw an error. And the errors are one of the hardest parts to debug, right? Because I think there's like a list of like I like almost 20 errors, and going through and like we don't have that in Ethereum. So going through and trying to like I'm like, okay, what was what's this error? Oh, okay. One we had was a corrupted JSON output, which we had quite a few times, and that was just from passing in like an invalid type. So if we wanted a string and we were passing in a number, right, then we would get this, and I'd have to try to go through, figure out what's going on. So overall, it is more secure because it's more strict, right? And so you're limited in what kind of inputs, outputs, and kind of operations can be done. You're not limited in like what you can program, but you're limited in terms of what the code can execute. So in that regard, that makes it less likely to have any kind of fatal bug, but instead it'll just revert if anything's invalid. And so that's really nice, opposed to Ethereum where it doesn't necessarily have that. And so the testing process was, I mean, trying to think of when. I think I wrote the basic smart contract, like the kind of the shell of the smart contract. It was all the logic, right? But it was just the very first iteration of it was back in, I think, January. January. And here it is, June. June. I think June was the last time we made a final change to the smart contract to fix like a slight bug. And it wasn't like a bug that affected anything either. It was just simply, we have an array that stores like orders, and when we were implementing the functionality for unstoppable domains, because they don't implement the ZRC1 standard, they have their own like I wouldn't call it a standard. They just wrote their own code for NFT, and trying to implement that, we had to integrate it into the marketplace that we built, and so it requires completely custom functionality, and so we had to track the domains that are being listed, and then we delete the domains after the item's been listed, and it just wasn't deleting. Like the array would just fill up instead of being deleted. So that was the last bug that we had to fix. Very very minor. It just kind of not garbage collecting, but essentially just making sure that what we wanted deleted was deleted. So overall, it was a fairly, a fairly easy process. It was tedious. Every smart contract, phase is tedious. Building it, testing it, implementing it. It's all tedious when you're dealing with smart contracts. But you get used to it, and so it was a fairly smooth process, right? I have quite a bit of confidence that what we have now will withstand the test of time. We built in a lot of like safeguards as well with our smart contracts. And in fact, I want to check because I think it is live and people can see. No, okay. So in our doc, we have docs for Mintable, and for some reason the developer section got deleted when I was updating something. But I'm going to go through and re-update that. But if you go on like View Block, you can see all the code for our smart contract marketplace, and you can look at it, you can see it, you can use it to implement other marketplaces or kind of use as core functionality. So having eyes on it for open source tech is always good. So if anyone out there is trying to learn Scilla or already knows Scilla, open it up and look at it. It's quite large. If I'm looking at it, it's about 500 lines, which isn't necessarily good for a smart contract, right? You kind of want it to be smaller, but it does have all the use cases covered for a marketplace, right? So you list an item for sale, you can cancel that listing. The marketplace can be turned offline if there's any kind of security issue. And then the price and the when you buy something, the amount you paid and the NFT are atomically swapped. So it's got all the bases covered, and I encourage everyone to go look at it and kind of check out the code and see what it is. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll link down the view block link and the address of the contract below, so people can check that out. So yeah, thanks, Zach. I think we did cover quite a lot. Just to finish it off, what are the future plans for Mintable? What are the things in terms of development, like updates that are going to come up that are in the pipeline currently?
Yeah, so right now, first we have a trading challenge, right? So Zilliqa is partnered together with us, and we're giving away 120,000 ZIL, right? So about $2,300 worth of ZIL. And it's really simple to enter. Just have an account on Mintable, and then you enter your store. And then the number one store will win the grand prize, and then there's 10 winners as well. So the total of 10 people can win the 120,000 ZIL is kind of split among those. So top winner wins about like $900, and all you have to do is sell your NFTs, right? So you don't actually have to do anything. It doesn't cost you anything. You make a store, you mint some NFTs, and then as people buy them, you earn points. And so we're starting that competition here in a few days. I think it starts on the 5th, and once that goes live, you can enter after it goes live, but obviously, if you enter late, your chances of getting the highest number of points is going to go down. So if you want to sign up for it, you can. It's at zilliqa.mintable.app/trading-challenge. And it's like trading challenge with a hyphen in there. And I encourage everyone to sign up. It's starting on the 5th. It's going to run for 2 weeks. And there's a few $1,000s that you can win for basically doing nothing. Just creating your content like you always do. And so besides the trading challenge, which is a big thing, there's actually, I don't think I've ever seen a NFT marketplace do a challenge like this, like a competition, which is weird, right? Because it's kind of like an exchange, and they do that all the time. But so it's gonna be the first time that ever happens. So that's a big thing. Then I'm working on improving the speed, the loading process of the app. So that is something that I've been working on, and that'll probably be out by the end of this week, as well as the grid is a nicer display for browsing items. Um, some small bug fixes that we've already pushed out as users use the platform and discover different bugs that kind of slip through the cracks. So we've been fixing those. And we have a board that people suggest different features, and we've already got a lot of suggestions. If I open it up just to refresh my memory, one of the big things is they want to be able to have a easier time when they're making their item and understanding what image is on the blockchain, what image is only for Mintable's listing. So we're going to be adding that, and then they want, when I say the users have all suggested this. And if you have any suggestions, if you're on Mintable in the top right, there's a little button for your profile, and then there's a link that says make a suggestion. And you can just add your suggestion there, and then we see it and go through. Full screen images, when you click on some artwork, you want to see it in full screen. And then allowing people to like edit their stores. Right now you can't really edit your stores, you can edit your listing. So we're going to implement a way for you to edit those stores. So overall, optimization, adding some extra features, and then yeah, I mean, as more people use it, there's going to be more suggestions, of course, and so we'll continuously be adding stuff. We would like to do batch minting, but batch minting is a little hard to do on just, this is smart contract work, and so we kind of need to go through, build the smart contract, test it, and so that takes a while. So it's not something that we can push out like in a week, like I'm doing with like these grid pages. So that's something that we want to do, we're looking into, and that makes it easier for everyone. But the beauty is Zilliqa doesn't have very expensive gas prices right now, so it doesn't really matter, because right now you're only paying a few cents for your transaction. On Ethereum, you're paying, oh my, I paid like $60 yesterday to submit a transaction. One transaction, $60, is ridiculous.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Zach, for your time. For people who want to check out Mintable, go to zilliqa.mintable.app. And Zach, where can people follow you? Where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, we're on Twitter. You can reach us at twitter.com/Mintable app. And then we're also on LinkedIn for Mintable as well. You just search Mintable. And then, of course, you can reach out to us through our website. So if you want to get in contact with the team, if you have any suggestions, or if you want to work together on some collaborational projects, just contact us through our website, and we normally respond within 24 hours.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Zach. Thanks for your time, and I wish you the best for Mintable.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.